Alright, so Minecraft is a giant game, not only in the gaming universe, but in the world in general. Pretty much everybody as a kid played it, including myself, and now it's getting a movie, which is, we're not gonna talk about that. But I thought it was the perfect time to play some Minecraft again, and since I already did the original game a while back, I decided today to do Minecraft Story Mode. However, this choice wasn't just on a limb, because getting your hands on one of this game's copies in 2024 is a feat close to impossible. My method, of course, was to just go onto Amazon and search up the game, and look at all of these options. So I belligerently just chose the first one that looked good, and gave them my money. I would then wait around 1 month with numerous delays in my order. I'm not sure if they were just searching for a copy of the game or if the lazy intern was just not doing his job. But fast forward to a few days ago when I got a message that the game is finally shipping to my house. I was extremely excited, so I even posted it on Twitter. My first mistake. Well, actually, I've made a lot of mistakes.
That's what I'm saying.
Anyways, the package finally comes and I rip it open to see this. Minecraft PS4 VR Edition. Not Minecraft Story Mode, and to make it even better, this disc doesn't even work. I feel so scammed right now. So today, instead of playing Minecraft Story Mode like I wanted to, I decided instead to play the next best thing, which is another Telltale game called The Wolf Among Us. Yes, Among Us. This is regarded as one of, or the best Telltale games out there because it has some of the most insane plot twists in a story game I've ever played. Essentially, The Wolf Among Us is a detective game set in a world where fairy tale creatures are living in modern society inside of New York. That was their first mistake in relocation, I'm not gonna lie. But the game is a total of 36 trophies inside, including the platinum, with pretty much every single one just coming from an episode or chapter's ending, with only a few you need to go back for and get because of different choices making differences in the story. This is also a part of my challenge to platinum pretty much every single notable single player game that I haven't already before I hit 800,000 subscribers, because I have no life, so make sure to drop a like and subscribe. It first opens up with chapter 1 episode 1, and this is what sets up the initial plot for us all. You first see Wolf, who is the big bad wolf that we play as in this game, getting out of a taxi and heading into an apartment building. Inside there is this dude named Toad, who is in my opinion the most annoying character in this game, and I honestly hate him. But he tells us there's a commotion upstairs, so we head up and into a room where the woodsman is basically just letting out his anger onto this working woman, we will say. So we obviously just barged on in, and the dude was pissed because he also does not like us whatsoever, which is why we scuffled with him for quite some time, taking a break to chat up this girl and then just throwing him out of the window with us tagging on because of gravity. We then wake up on top of a taxi, and this was also Toad's car, so that's unfortunate. But the woodsman was basically unaffected by this, and he started to choke us out. Thankfully, that girl hurried down here and laid an axe right into his noggin, taking him out for now. We then chatted up the girl like the Rizzler, and she didn't really want anything to do with us because we aren't a paying customer. But then we asked her to meet us back at our place for an interview about what happened or something, and she seemed to like that idea. That was also the conclusion of the very first chapter, and here's that trophy. Next chapter began, and this is the one where the story really ticks up in the detectiveness, we will say. But to begin with, Wolf just headed to his apartment and basically was just chilling with the homie for a hot minute until knocking off in the recliner chair, only to be awoke by a knock on the door. Turns out it wasn't that girl from earlier, but rather Snow White herself. Honestly, an upgrade. But she didn't want to come in. No, instead she had to show us something, but refused to tell us because of listening ears inside of the place. And as we were in the elevator going down, I got another trophy. I'm not sure why. But right away when exiting the apartment building, we spotted that girl that was supposed to meet us tonight. However, it was just her head. And so the mystery begins. We then basically just talked to Snow here for a while, and I also looked at a few clues, but nothing could really be seen that would say at all who did it. So then I just got another trophy and we moved on with our life. Next, we went to the business office in Fabletown, which is where the law sort of ran and pretty much everything to do with anything. But we talked to Crane, who was the leading man here, and also a senile idiot. We then searched the records to find out who that girl was, and we did, which also told us that she had a husband in Fabletown that we saw in the magic mirror. He doesn't look so good. But Toad then also called us and asked for help, so before the ending of the chapter, I had to make a decision to go to Toad's place or the husband's place, and I chose Toad because I figured that the other dude already didn't look good, and there's nothing we could really do to help him out. And here is another trophy. So we went to Toad's place, and I immediately could tell that something was off here, which is why we had Snow distract Toad's kids so I could investigate his place, because he claims everything is fine even though he was just telling us that he needed help immediately. Now, I found numerous things that told me that someone was here and kind of ran through the place, but Toad for some unknown reason just would not admit it and kept on lying straight to my face, which honestly started to piss me off. So when doing my final talk with him, I kind of laid into the guy physically because I was not having it. That might have been a bad idea, but he did talk eventually and we found out basically nothing. So thanks for that, Toad. We then went to the husband's place place, and long story short, he died, as I expected. But while searching the place, I eventually reached some closet and a man just jumped out of it and ran away. So I of course had to chase him. But upon catching the guy, he claims he was just investigating the scene as a private entity. Now that's complete BS, we all know this. But I didn't have a chance to do my usual interrogation technique since his brother pulled up and knocked me out. I would then awake to snow in the end of the chapter, receiving another trophy. The next chapter then began with me heading to a bar to find the woodsman and talk to him since he was the last person with the deceased girl from earlier. And the people at the bar, by the way, hate my guts. We did find the woodsman, chatted up a little bit, but the poor guy was not having a good time. And his buddy over here though loved to start fights, so he just straight up came over, turned into a monster and started fighting me. Now this guy was being a complete jerk, so when it came down to me walking away from the fight or ripping his arm off, I chose to rip that arm off like a band-aid. Have fun being disabled. And then this idiot also walked in a few moments later. I was then posed with a choice to go after the woodsman or him, and I chose him because I just want to punch that fat face so bad. We would also end up going back to the apartment building and seeing Snow's face on the curb. But don't worry, it's not a big deal for long. So here's that chapter's trophy pop. Next, it opened up with us being interviewed by the police about Snow's murder. However, Crane broke into the place and made everyone fall asleep and forget the last 24 hours. How convenient. So he took us back to the apartment buildings to interrogate that guy I picked up last night, and here's a trophy pop before all of that fun. While talking to this guy, I immediately did not like him, so I chose the aggressive approach and basically tortured him down here. This went on for quite some time until none other than Snow walked on in. Now I thought she was dead, but it turns out the person that is actually dead was just wearing a very good costume that looked like her. And I also got another trophy, by the way. So the next part of the game had us basically investigate the corpse, and we would discover that it was actually some troll woman who had a glamour on. A glamour is a spell contraption that can make you look like anything you want. But this troll woman was also Holly's sister, the same woman from the bar we just destroyed the night before. We then headed back there to tell her that her sister is now gone. Sad days, sad, sad days, and here's a trophy after that. Next up, I had to go to a strip club to find out the last things Holly was doing because she sadly had to work here to get by. A fate that only happens to the best of us. But ultimately, the dude who owns it was a complete jerk. Not shocking though, I mean, he owns a strip club, so yeah, what do you expect? But one of the dancers ended up giving us a key to a room that is right next to the last one Holly went to, and I also got a trophy from that, by the way. I then went to the motel of which the key is for, and the receptionist was actually Beauty from Beauty and the Beast. How the mighty have fallen. But once she started taking us to the room, I got yet again another trophy. But right before we broke into the room, Beast shows up and assumes we were banging Beauty right here, so he was all mad and we had to fight him for a while until breaking the door down and seeing the crime scene, which made Beast realize he's just an idiot. And I'm just gonna say this right now, this is where the story gets a little bit kind of graphic and weird, but I found out that Crane, the guy in charge, is pretty much just a giant weirdo and likes to take strippers here that have a glamour of Snow White, who is his secretary. Very, very weird stuff, but yeah, we gotta fire this dude. I also did get a trophy, but let's just continue on. Next up, we just boringly chatted with Beauty for multiple minutes. Girl needs a personality, and here's that trophy. Anyways, it's our duty now to find Snow and tell her what Crane has been doing since it's kind of a big deal. But she was in the middle of giving a eulogy at Holly's sister's funeral, so kind of bad timing. I did also interrupt, which made it worse, so my apologies. But those fat dudes also showed up and were threatening us all to not go after Crane because he's in on it, if you couldn't tell. And long story short, we got shot. It was bad, but not too bad, and I got a trophy. We then discussed back at the business office on what to do first with this angry guy in red. No clue who he is, not gonna lie, I can't remember. But I decided to search Crane's apartment for clues and got a trophy from that. While in Crane's place, we basically just found out that he did a ton of money embezzling and fraud. Overall, just a super bad dude to have in power, which is usually how it goes, sadly. I then did also have to go back to the bar to question Holly about her sister, but she was sleeping, so I just searched her stuff while trying not to awake her. We didn't really find out too much though, aside from some lady named Auntie Greenie's place, but I did get another trophy. So next we went to the auntie's apartment and would find out that she is the witch giving everyone those underground glamours, and also the woman who gave Holly's sister hers. But she told us some important stuff and more leads, so we left her alone without further prosecution, and I got another trophy. We then went back to the club and actually found Crane there, so we took him with us, but upon leaving, a bunch of cars pulled up with basically every evil person in the story. There was a lot of fighting, I killed someone, but also got nearly fatally shot by a silver bullet, and Snow managed to negotiate with Bloody Mary here to let us go in exchange for Crane. Not the greatest move ever, but it worked and we lived to see another day with another trophy. So I got patched up next, interviewed this one girl from the club who wanted to help us out, and we didn't really find out too much except to go to some place, but I did get a trophy from that minimal ass conversation. The place we were supposed to go to, by the way, was Beauty and the Beast place. They live in the same building that we do, as a matter of fact, and they pretty much just told us that they work for the crooked man who is the guy behind it all because they don't have enough money. Sad to see, but here's a trophy. They did tell us though two of the crooked man's businesses he has in town, so the next two parts of this game was me just going to them and searching while also getting into some scuffles collectibles here and there. And I got 2 trophies from going to both of the locations while finding out some very minimal information that we probably could have guessed. We then went back to the business office because inside of the butcher shop the Crooked Man runs, I did find the last piece of the magic mirror, which is previously broken and not usable. And we used it to spy in the Crooked Man's door, which moves around town but is the only entrance to his base. It evidently stopped next to something we know, so we then headed off to it and I got another trophy. But we made it into the Crooked Man's place and he didn't kill us immediately. Instead, just welcomed us on in, so I also got a trophy from that. However, when we were talking to him, he asked if we wanted to team up with him, and I pretty much just said no. And then he did try to kill us, but we made it out. There was then a very big and long car chase with us after the dude who owns the strip club, because he was the only guy we ended up being able to chase after the meeting ended so abruptly. But once we did catch up to him, he actually just went back to his club, so I don't think the guy could have picked a more obvious location, but I did get a trophy, so it's okay. Anyways, we interrogated him for a long time until eventually just putting him out of his misery since the dude was kind of dying low-key. He did tell us the location where Bloody Mary and the Crooked Man were at, however, so I went there next, and this location just had a massive fight against Bloody Mary that lasted forever and also made us go into Big Wolf form because it was so hard. I won, of course. It was plot armor, and I got a trophy. We then finally got to talk to the Crooked Man face to face. He threatened to shoot us if we just killed him, so I decided to take him back to Snow and then decide what happens with the whole town. But I did get a trophy before that. And this was then the final part of the game. We got the Crooked Man captured, but now everyone is here to vote and kind of sort out this whole ordeal. The Crooked Man went on and on about how it wasn't his fault. He didn't make anyone do anything, even though he is literally the guy who was behind everything, obviously. I mean, his name is the Crooked Man. I don't think we can trust what he says. But eventually, everyone was on my side, and I got given the power to do what I thought was right. So I ripped off his head and threw him down the well. And there is the second to last trophy of the story. There was one more final chapter, but it just had us talk to the girl who helped us earlier, sort of wrapping up the story before she walked away, and we got the final story trophy. I did still have a few left, however, but they're all just from me going back and choosing like one different interaction within each chapter. So the cleanup for these wasn't that bad whatsoever. And here's that final trophy with the platinum pop right along with it. That was the Minecraft story, the Wolf Among Us platinum trophy experience. Honestly, I really wanted to make this video about Minecraft story mode, but I guess I'm gonna have to buy that game again from someone else and wait 2 months for it to get here before that can happen. But this game was still good. I was a little bit confused the entire time though, and the amount of lying that happened honestly began to piss me off. It was just so annoying. But yeah, rating it out of 10, I'm gonna give it a solid 7. Nothing crazy in terms of overall games out there, but it was still more solid than a lot of trash that gets published nowadays. Once more, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all soon with some more bangers.